After working overtime for 3 weeks straight, I bought groceries and cooked for everyone. My father-in-law took a bite and spit it out. "This tastes like you, bland and useless," he said. My wife didn't defend me. That night, I found my clothes in garbage bags and a text that read, "Go back to your worthless life." So I did, but not before leaving one thing behind that changed everything. I'm 32, lived most of my life outside of Akron, Ohio. Nothing fancy about me. I manage a warehouse, I work hard, I keep to myself. Grew up poor, learned to handle things on my own. I never expected a lot out of life, just respect, honesty, and some peace. Then I met Ellie, and for a little while, I thought I had something good. She worked customer service at a logistics company that coordinated with our warehouse. First time I heard her voice on the phone, I thought she was just another rep, but she was different. Funny, sharp, and kind. After about 6 months of phone calls and inside jokes, we decided to meet up. She lived in Dayton, so I drove out there. I'll be honest, I was nervous. I'm not used to dating women who look like her. She had this put-together look, real clean, like she stepped out of a magazine. We clicked right away. For a while, it was perfect. We'd meet on weekends, hang out at her apartment or at parks, go on little drives. She liked that I worked with my hands. Said it made me real. She even came to visit me at the warehouse once. Said I looked sexy in a safety vest. I remember that because it's the last time I really believed she was proud of me. 6 months into dating, she introduced me to her family. That was the beginning of the end. Her dad, Frank, was a whole different breed of man. Retired Air Force. Old school, aggressive. The kind of guy who shakes your hand too hard just to prove something. From the first minute I walked into their house, I knew I was being judged. "You the warehouse guy?" he asked, looking me up and down. "Yes, sir," I said, polite as ever. He laughed. "Well, we all start somewhere." I ignored it. That first dinner, I barely spoke. He made jokes about real men and talked about Ellie's ex like he was some kind of superhero. "That boy had goals," Frank said. "Smart kid. Government clearance. Respectable." Every time I tried to offer something to the conversation, Frank cut me off or made fun of me. And Ellie, she just kind of sat there. She'd smile at me later, like, "Sorry," but she never said anything out loud in front of him. Over the next year, it got worse. Every visit to their house ended with me feeling like trash. Frank would walk past me like I didn't exist, then sit Ellie down and whisper crap in her ear while shooting me a glance. When I proposed to her, I did it at a small lake we used to walk around. She cried, said yes. I thought maybe things were changing. But after we got married, small wedding, courthouse, no drama, Frank started pushing harder. He'd text Ellie out of the blue, complaining about our finances, asking why we didn't buy a house yet, saying stuff like, "You sure you made the right choice?" We had fights about it. I asked her to set boundaries. She said, "He's just worried about me." I said, "No, he's trying to control you." She didn't get it. Fast forward to this past winter. Work got crazy. We lost 2 guys in the warehouse, one to COVID complications, one to a family emergency. My boss leaned on me to pick up the slack. I worked 21 days straight. Nights, weekends, no breaks. I was exhausted, but the pay was good, and we needed it. During that time, Ellie barely noticed I was gone. She'd stay late at her own job, then go visit her mom a few towns over. I'd come home to an empty house and microwave pizza. Still, when I finally got a Sunday off, I wanted to make it special. I thought, she's probably stressed too. Maybe I can surprise her. Show her I care. So I woke up early, cleaned the place top to bottom, then hit the grocery store. Spent hours in that kitchen. Roasted garlic chicken, mashed potatoes, honey-glazed carrots, biscuits from scratch, even baked a pie. Ellie showed up around 5 with her parents in tow. I greeted them, offered drinks, set the table. Frank walked in, sniffed the air, and said, "Smells like a microwave dinner." I ignored it. Sat him down, served plates. Then the moment that lit the fuse. He picked up his fork, took a bite of the chicken, chewed, then made this face like he was about to be sick. He spat it into his napkin, looked around the table, and said, loud and clear, "Tastes like you, bland and useless." I didn't move. I waited for Ellie to say something. Anything. She didn't. She kept her eyes on her plate and took another bite of potatoes like nothing happened. That broke something in me. I stood up, didn't say a word. Walked outside. I stood in the backyard, hands on my knees, trying not to fall apart. The cold air helped. I stayed out there for maybe 20 minutes. When I came back in, they were gone. Ellie was on the couch watching a show like it was just another night. I said, "You just gonna let him talk to me like that?" She shrugged. "He's just being himself." I didn't argue. I just cleaned up the dishes, took a shower, and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to find my clothes stuffed into trash bags near the front door. My boots were outside, wet with frost. My charger, toothbrush, razors, everything thrown together in a pile like I was a stranger. And on the kitchen counter was a grocery store receipt. On the back of it, written in big block letters with a Sharpie, was, "Go back to your worthless life." And then came the text, right after 4 a.m. "I'm done pretending. My dad's right. You're not what I want." No explanation. No conversation. Just done. I didn't fight. Didn't yell. I just left. But like I said, I didn't leave empty-handed. Ellie forgot the Escape. The Ford Escape we bought right after the wedding. She wanted a new car. Her credit was trash, so we put it in my name. I paid the down payment. I made the monthly payments. I paid the insurance. She drove it, but it was mine. So while I was crashing at my buddy Rico's place, I filed a stolen vehicle report. Told them she kicked me out and kept the car. DMV verified the registration. After 2 weeks and a few calls, I got the green light. One night, around 2 a.m., a repo truck pulled up to their house in Dayton and towed that shiny white Escape off the driveway. Ellie called me 15 times that night. Left voicemails crying, begging, cursing me out. I didn't answer. She even had Frank call me. I picked up, just to hear his voice crack when he realized I wasn't bluffing. "You better give that damn car back," he barked. "No," I said. "You can drive her around yourself if you're so invested." Then I hung up. But I wasn't done. After the repo, things got quiet. Too quiet. I figured they'd leave me alone after that. I made my point. But I underestimated Frank. He wasn't the type to take a loss and move on. 3 days later, my supervisor calls me into the office. "Hey," he says, closing the door. "Everything okay at home?" "Yeah," I lie. "Why?" He looks uncomfortable. "We got a weird call. Some guy named Frank. Said he had concerns about your mental stability. Said you've been acting strange, maybe dangerous." I froze. "You're kidding." He shook his head. "HR logged it, but didn't act on it. Still, just thought you should know." Frank had tried to mess with my job. That crossed a whole new line. This man couldn't stand that I walked away. He couldn't stand that I hit back. Now he was trying to ruin the one thing I had left, my work. I sat in my car for an hour after that meeting, just staring out the windshield. Every part of me wanted to drive down to Dayton and say everything I never said. But I didn't. Instead, I started documenting everything. I pulled phone records, saved texts, gathered documents from the car loan and the DMV. I even contacted the dealership for copies of paperwork showing it was mine. Then I filed a restraining order. When the court date came, I didn't tell them. Let them be surprised. Frank showed up in his pressed button-down, Ellie right behind him. I wore a plain black jacket and jeans. Said everything calm, direct. Showed the texts. The work complaint. The note on the receipt. The voicemail where Frank yelled that I was a deadbeat who needed to be taken care of before I ruined her life. The judge didn't even hesitate. Granted it on the spot. Frank couldn't come within 300 feet of me or contact me in any way. Ellie, too. She tried to speak in court, started crying. "He's making it look worse than it is." Judge cut her off. "You let your father harass your husband, then helped him throw him out without warning. You don't look innocent here." They walked out fast. Didn't look back. But what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that I'd already taken the next step. Remember that house Ellie's parents were helping her buy? Before everything blew up, she asked me to co-sign a mortgage pre-approval. Said it was just paperwork to start the process. I didn't think much of it then. We were married. I trusted her. She never told me what happened after we split. But one night, a letter came to Rico's apartment. From the lender. Said I was pre-approved. For a $310,000 mortgage. She'd gone through with it, after kicking me out. Using my name. I called the lender the next day. Explained everything. Sent the court documents, the restraining order, copies of texts. They were stunned. Said it looked like fraud, that I hadn't signed the final application myself. They launched an internal investigation. And within 2 weeks, the approval was revoked, and the property she'd been eyeing went off the table. Frank apparently had already put down a gift toward the down payment. They lost it all. Word got back to me through a mutual friend that Ellie lost it. Screaming, crying, saying I ruined her future. But here's the thing. She tried to build her future with pieces of mine. She didn't think I'd fight back. Didn't think I was smart enough. Tough enough. She forgot where I came from. I've worked since I was 14. I've been broke. I've been invisible. I know how to survive. And I sure as hell know how to wait for the right moment to strike. But I still wasn't done. Because there was one more thing they never saw coming. I thought pulling the mortgage out from under them would be the last shot. It wasn't. A few weeks went by. I kept my head down, stayed focused on work. I found a small apartment not far from the warehouse. Nothing special, but it was mine. Quiet. Clean. No yelling, no insults. I started sleeping better. Eating better. Hell, even smiling again. But just when I thought I could finally move on, I got a letter from a collections agency. They were demanding payment for a $6,300 furniture order from a store in Dayton. Ellie's name wasn't on it, mine was. Same last name, same address we used to share. She bought an entire living room set on a store credit line that she opened before she kicked me out. I called the store. They confirmed the purchase was made the week I was working overtime. Ellie had used a joint account to verify our shared residence and opened the credit line in my name. I filed a fraud report. The store pushed back, said since we were married at the time and the delivery address was ours, it might be hard to prove it wasn't authorized. So I dug in deeper. I remembered something. When she placed that order, I was working late shifts, clocked in every night. I pulled my time sheets. Then I called Rico, who I'd crashed with after she threw me out. He remembered the night the delivery truck pulled up. Said he saw a photo on Ellie's social media showing off the news sectional with the caption, "New space, new start." That post became the nail in her coffin. I brought all the proof to the store and the credit company. After a month of calls and letters, they dropped the claim and flagged the account as fraudulent. The best part? Since the items were bought in my name, but I had proven fraud, they repossessed everything. Took the couch, the TV stand, the rug. Everything she thought she could start over with. She posted a rant on Facebook the next day. Some people are so bitter they'll ruin everything just to feel powerful. I hope it was worth it. It was. But now it wasn't just Ellie spiraling. Frank's little empire started cracking, too. A mutual friend from her side, Laura, reached out to me privately. Said she didn't agree with how things went down and felt like I deserved to know what was happening. Turns out, Frank had been using some shady financial tricks to move money around for years. Small things, pulling cash from Ellie's mom's retirement, pushing Ellie to open accounts in her name, borrowing from family savings. Ellie never asked questions because she thought he was helping her. But now that I'd put the brakes on the house and triggered investigations into the fraudulent credit lines, things were getting flagged. Frank was being audited. One of the banks had frozen his checking account due to unusual activity. Ellie's mom had started asking questions and wasn't liking the answers. Frank blamed me, of course. Sent another voicemail through a burner number. You think you've won? You're a nobody. You'll always be a nobody. Enjoy your little victories, because this isn't over. I saved the voicemail, reported it, got it added to the restraining order. But it wasn't his threat that stuck with me. It was the word nobody. That's all I ever was to him. Even after I supported Ellie for 2 years, helped with her student loan debt, cleaned her messes, paid bills she didn't even know were late, I was still just nobody. So I decided to stop acting like one. I started talking, posting the truth. Quietly, carefully, without drama. Just facts. Not rants. Not revenge porn. Just straight up truth. I joined a local Facebook group for people dealing with family estrangement and financial abuse. I shared my story. Didn't name names, but people connected the dots. It spread. A few of Ellie's old coworkers saw it. So did one of her cousins. Turns out, she had told everyone I abandoned her. That I was unstable, angry, dangerous. Now, people were starting to see the cracks. She blocked me on every platform. Frank tried to report my post to the group admin, claimed I was lying and slandering them. The admin replied publicly, "We've seen the documents." He's telling the truth. They were unraveling. And I hadn't even played my last card. Because the warehouse? It's just my job. But on the side, I've been learning something new. And soon, I'd use it to make sure everyone knew what they did, and to make damn sure they'd never forget me. So here it is. The part where everything came full circle. Like I said before, the warehouse was my job, but it wasn't all I did. During the pandemic, when things slowed down for a few months, I started learning about online business. Mostly just a pastime at first, but then I got into it, real deep. Built a side hustle helping local guys clean up their credit, file disputes, and get their financial records straight. It started slow. One guy from the warehouse. Then two. Then five. I never advertised, just word of mouth. Turns out there's a lot of men like me, guys who were just trying to do right, who got chewed up by bad relationships, toxic family, and no clue how to fight back financially. By the time Ellie and Frank threw me out, I already had 20 regular clients. It wasn't much money at first, but it was growing. After the court stuff, the repo, and the credit fraud mess, I had a fire lit under me like never before. So I took it further. I built a site. I made videos, told my story in pieces, without names, and showed real results. How I fixed my credit. How I fought back. How I got money back. I even did a step-by-step on what to do when someone opens debt in your name. It blew up. I didn't expect it to, but it did. A few TikToks I made got shared like wildfire. Then one day I woke up to an email from a local news reporter. She asked if I'd be willing to share my full story for a consumer protection segment they were doing on relationship-based financial abuse. I agreed. The interview aired on a Saturday night. I told the whole truth. No names, no faces, but very specific details. The car, the trash bags, the furniture scam, the mortgage fraud. I laid it all out. People in Dayton recognized it instantly. Frank was a loudmouth. Ellie had bragged for months about getting a house with her hard work. Her coworkers? They knew she didn't earn any of that. Monday morning, I got a message from Laura, that mutual friend who had kept tabs on their mess. She wrote, "Dude, you torched their lives." I didn't know what she meant at first, but then she sent me screenshots. Apparently, Ellie got fired from her job, not just for what she did to me, but because she had used her company email and phone to send some of the financial documents for the fake credit line. That meant she committed fraud using her employer's resources. Frank? He was getting investigated by the IRS. Turns out the money he borrowed from his wife's retirement fund hadn't been reported properly, and now she was threatening to divorce him. Ellie's mom reached out to me personally. She wrote, "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I believed him because he's my husband. But I see it now. Thank you for opening my eyes." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. But karma wasn't done with them yet. About a month later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Ellie. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. It was pathetic. She wrote, "I was wrong. I see it now. I let him poison how I saw you. I thought he knew best. I didn't know who I was without him telling me. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I had to say it." I folded the letter once and put it in a drawer. Not out of hate, but because I never wanted to forget how far I'd come. Now, I'm making more money from my credit repair and advocacy work than I ever did at the warehouse. I still work there part-time because I like the routine, but I don't need it. I bought a small house in Akron, paid for it cash from the business. Simple place, quiet neighborhood, good people. Rico comes by sometimes. We grill, drink beer, laugh about the whole saga. You ever think about getting back out there? He asked me the other night. I looked at him and smiled. I already did, I said. Turns out, one of the women I helped through my business, single mom, also screwed over by an ex, started messaging me after the interview aired. Her name's Jessica. We've been seeing each other for a few months now. She respects me. She listens. She doesn't flinch when things get hard. And Frank? He's got no retirement left, a frozen bank account, and a wife who doesn't believe a word he says anymore. Ellie's back living with her mom. No job, no car, no house, just the mess she made. Me? I'm not bitter. I'm better. Because when they spit me out, when they said I was worthless, when they told me to go back to my life, I did. And I built something they can never touch.